Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome back. Unless you are new here, welcome for the first time. I like to make these little videos about films I enjoy and want to share. Typically, I usually lean towards a lot of horror and 80s throwbacks, so occasionally I'll put in something a little bit different or a little bit newer, such as in recent weeks where I did Strange Days, Simone, and Barbie, all of which did pretty well and people seem to like them. So if you enjoy this content, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing and sticking around to the end, as it really does help out quite a bit. Okay. Now that all that's out of the way, I wanted to do one more 80s throwback here before diving into October, which at the time of this video is next week, where I will be focusing on a lot more horror titles, including some just quick entries of ones to watch. So for this one, I did another little 80s throwback for a film I hadn't seen in years, most likely decades actually, which is for License to Drive from 1988, starring Haim, Corey Feldman, and Heather Graham. So we get a little CoreyCorey film here like we did with The Lost Boys a few years earlier, or I think just 1 year earlier. And this is one of Heather Graham's first roles, or at least the first major motion picture role that she had. But what is this film about? Well, the synopsis is as follows. A teen decides to go for a night on the town with his friends, despite flunking his driver's test. So another really short synopsis there, but that's the gist of it, with Haim playing the one who failed the test, and Feldman being, one of his friends who he's out on the town with, and Heather Graham being the object of his affection. Now this film is cringy, there's no way around it, that's for sure, but most of that cringe is kind of like in a meet the parents kind of way, this seeing him making mistakes, lying, trying to get away with something and getting caught in those lies, that kind of feel. But one just kind of needs to keep in mind that, he's just this kid who's really excited about getting his license, and having that sense of freedom, not to mention anything that he'll do to somehow get together with, with Heather Graham's character, who is his, source of attraction there. So, he fails his test, but decides to go out anyway so he can meet up with Heather Graham's character and later on his friends as well, because things kind of go south over the course of the night. Because outside of failing the test, lying about it, getting caught, and getting grounded, he steals his grandfather's car to do this and is paranoid about anything possibly happening to it because he just wants to sneak out, see Graham's character, and then sneak back home. Now, with these little altercations and other issues coming up along the way as he's out, it results in him kind of needing the help of his friends who have been wanting him to take them out anyway since he just got his license. And one of the friends, which is played by Corey Feldman, is pretty loud and reckless, and his character and performance really work well, kind of like to the opposite side of what Corey Haim's is. He's the one who's really loud and going out there in comparison to Haim's, who's a little bit more level-headed. But we get this crazy night out in an awkward situation, causing lots of trouble. And we get a lot of 80s formula here, of course, including a few scenes which didn't really age that well. One in which stuck out, where Heather Graham's character is passed out drunk, and Feldman's character decides to unbutton her top and start taking some pictures. As well as there's other various comments in here that didn't really age well, but I had to just keep in mind that he's taking the pictures, that as he's taking the pictures, the other characters are trying to stop him from that. The Feldman character in this scene is doing something wrong, which in the film is also seen as wrong, and they're trying to stop him. So the joke isn't that she's being taken advantage of so much as this one character is a bit depraved, and there's a struggle to stop him from doing that. That's where the comedy comes out. And of course, we have underage drinking, stealing a car, driving without a license, and Graham's character, who I believe she's supposed to be about 16 at the time, is dating someone who is obviously well over 21. That guy looked like he was almost 30, actually. But, it was the 80s after all, and I feel like a lot of the comedy at times in these 80s films would go down the line of how many bad things somebody could do and how much trouble they would or wouldn't get into because of that. Just kind of towing that line of, they're going to have a wild and crazy night, they're probably going to get in a lot of trouble, so let's see what happens with that trouble. It's not really an endorsement of any of the behaviors in it. It seems like sometimes people read into that too much. Anyways, one final note on here is we also have Carol Kane, who is amazing in this. She plays Corey Haim's mother, who is pregnant with twins at the time. So we have this, off and on comedy of her late at night, unsure if she's hungry or having contractions, while the father is being woken up only to have him, rush to get her ready to go to the hospital, while us viewers know that the car that they need isn't even in the garage since Haim took it for that night out on the town, only to have us find out that, yeah, she was just hungry or the contractions stopped. So she really brings a lot of comedy to this, where I could seriously just watch 90 minutes of her being silly and pregnant. Anyways, we get a silly, awkward 80s comedy, a little CoreyCorey duo here with some great beats, very short runtime. and it is very memorable. I mean, I hadn't seen this movie in decades, but as each scene would start, I was instantly able to remember most of it and even quote it verbatim for some of those scenes. So it's obviously worth checking out. And speaking of checking out, thanks for checking out this latest video of mine for License to Drive, which at the time of this video is currently on Stars, as well as some paid services. So if interested, head on over to check it out. And thanks for checking out my video and sticking around to the end, as it really does help, like I said. So what should we have next after all this horror stuff? I'm thinking maybe I'll keep that CoreyCorey thing going and revisit Dream Little Dream, see if that's any good. I don't have many memories of it, except really having the hots for Meredith Salinger. Anyways, so yeah, lots more horror coming up this month for October. So anyways, thanks for coming around, sticking around to the end, and I will see you in the next one.